Salut tout le monde, j'espère que vous allez bien et bienvenue sur Branchez-vous. Je vous retrouve aujourd'hui pour une petite exclusivité puisque je me suis rendu il y a de cela quelques jours à Toronto dans les locaux d'Ubisoft où j'ai pu découvrir un peu plus le jeu Star Wars Outlaws, une journée qui était dédiée aux médias où on a pu notamment rencontrer les différentes équipes du développement du jeu. On a notamment pu assister, comme vous pouvez voir à l'image, à une mise en scène d'une scène que vous retrouverez dans le jeu. De plus, j'ai pu rencontrer en parallèle le directeur narratif du jeu, à savoir Navid, Kharavi, avec qui j'ai pu discuter pendant de longues minutes concernant le jeu. J'ai notamment voulu savoir est-ce que le jeu pouvait correspondre à des gens qui ne sont pas forcément fans de la saga Star Wars. J'ai aussi voulu savoir pourquoi est-ce qu'il avait choisi Keyves, mais surtout est-ce qu'il était satisfait du rendu final du jeu. Une interview qui a duré près de 10 minutes où on a pu quand même discuter aussi en amont de plusieurs choses, à savoir quelles sont ses attentes, pourquoi ce jeu était-il si important pour lui. Bref, beaucoup de détails que vous allez découvrir dans cette interview. On a aussi pu rencontrer l'actrice qui joue le rôle de Keyves, à savoir Humberly Gonzalez, qui nous a fait part de sa fierté de pouvoir justement participer au développement du jeu. De plus, je vous donne une autre information, je suis en train de tester actuellement le jeu et notre verdict arrivera très bientôt. Notre verdict, bien évidemment, le plus objectif possible afin que vous en sachiez plus sur le jeu Star Wars Outlaws. Je vous laisse maintenant avec l'interview afin de savoir quelques détails que vous aurez pu manquer ou que vous n'auriez jamais entendu autour de Star Wars Outlaws. First question, what inspired the story for Star Wars Outlaws?
Oh, well, I think what inspired the story for Outlaws really goes back to our first meeting with Lucasfilm, which was we knew that we wanted to focus on the scoundrel archetype, sort of the scoundrel fantasy. So much you can do with the blaster and modules and all sorts of things. And then when we met with Lucasfilm Games, they were saying, well, there's this very sweet spot, this period between Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, when the underworld is really kind of thriving in the chaos of the Empire versus Rebellion battle that's going on. And so that really kicked things off because, you know, once we realized we were on the scoundrel archetype, once we knew we wanted to do an underworld story, Keyves kind of emerged from that as a character, as someone, you know, who is a thief, you know, a scoundrel, and also a rookie, you know, someone who is new to the underworld, that when she gets, she has a job go wrong and a bounty lands on her back, when she goes off to try and pull off this heist that is going to secure her freedom, you get to experience that as a rookie as well. So there's so many facets to it, but the biggest one, I think, was that you get to go on this journey in becoming sort of an underworld legend a little bit.
Yeah, of course. I also want to know what games, of course, inspired you for Star Wars Outlaws.
What other games?
Yeah, other games.
So many. I mean, it's going to sound naive, but I have been playing. I'm really drawn to the classic Star Wars games as well. So Shadows of the Empire, the old Super Star Wars games. But I think for us, what we really wanted to focus on was, you know, kind of the open world aspects of what we could do in a Star Wars game. You know, games like Ghost of Tsushima, I've been talking a lot, can you tell? You know, these games that capture the spirit and the setting and the aesthetic, you know, and also within Ubisoft, you know, I've worked on many Far Cries, I've worked on a lot of brands, and our team has been developing open worlds for so long that I think the idea of taking all that knowledge and pooling it into how do we make as authentic a Star Wars open world as possible. So everything from the cantinas, you know, being able to walk in and meet all sorts of shady characters, that feeling when you first get on the speeder and you're blasted. I mean, you experience it when you take off across the open world, all those details, the wildlife, the fauna, flora, the demographics of these planets, the biomes, you know, all of that really, really came together. And I think, you know, there's a lot of experience on this team to pull it off.
Of course. I wanted also to know, what did you think about people who don't know much about the Star Wars franchise? Like me, for example. Do you think we will love the game and we will be I will say we will need or want to see the other films, for example?
It's a great question. So we really tried to approach this from the fact of, or from the perspective of, you don't have to be a fan.
Okay.
And or at least you don't have to even know anything about Star Wars to get into this. And the reason for that is this is a new angle, right? This is a side of Star Wars that's really only been seen in the comics. It hasn't been seen much in films and games. So, like I was saying, as a rookie scoundrel, as Kay, someone who is new to this, it's a perfect gateway into the Star Wars galaxy, right? So even when it came to some of the maybe iconic characters that we used, like Jabba or Lady Kira, it's still from the perspective of someone who's never met them before. So you're going to learn who they are. It's going to all bleed together in this kind of tapestry of narrative and world building. And we were very careful to kind of be authentic and respect, and honor what came before, but also trying to bring something new for those who might not know anything about Star Wars. It's a balance, but we were very careful about it.
Yeah, it's excellent. And also, I would like to know why did you pick Kves and not another character, for example? Just why Kves?
Well, I think it all goes back to relatability and authenticity. Kay sort of emerged naturally from this notion of someone who is struggling to survive and trying to find their place in the galaxy, find who they really are. And I think that is an angle that I think a lot of us can relate to. It's not about being a Jedi wielding a lightsaber and, going on, kind of being the chosen one. It's not that. It's something much more on the ground, and that notion of relatability and connection was super important to us. And I think we really built Kay to represent that, so that, and the other characters as well who she interacts with, like ND5, for example. This is a battle droid that, maybe fought in a lot of wars, but in this context, he's also scraping by to survive. And it's like these ideas that I think everyone can relate to, and that was really important to us.
Perfect. And we haven't played the game yet, so we don't know how it will end. But I would like to know if you are thinking about sequel if the game is successful.
Oh, my brain is on August 27th, early access, and then August 30th. That we do have a great kind of season pass as well. So that was recently announced, which is super, super exciting. So the first, we have one DLC focused around Lando Calrissian, which one of my favorite characters growing up. So it's been a dream to approach. And then also another season pass, another DLC focused on the sort of pirate fantasy. And there's a character named Hondo Ohnaka, who's known as the Pirate King. So we tried to focus it around characters and new, interesting folks that Kay could play off of. So there's plenty of content to experience right now.
Of course. Do you think that making an open world is a risky choice or not?
We never looked at it from that perspective. Truthfully, it was only just an opportunity in a sense that the timing just felt perfect. And I mean that, I don't mean to sound naive, but we have been working on open worlds for so long and developing them and going into just the nitty gritty of how do you author a world from the ground up. Taking that and combining it with the Star Wars galaxy, it just felt organic and very natural. And so it's a really interesting thing when you're starting on open world game, because at first it seems, no pun intended, massive. At first it seems very daunting. But once you start getting into building the layers, like I said, of the biomes, what are the demographics, what are the characters, the experts, the gunslingers, the folks that populate these worlds, it really just flows organically. So I think we have a fantastic team. We have a great world director in Chloe Hamoud, and just some really, really fantastic folks that have put their heart and soul in this. So it was never really from the perspective of risk. It was always like, this is an amazing opportunity, and we have the talent and the craft to pull it off.
Perfect. So last question, is the game how you imagined it from day one?
It's better.
Perfect.
Better. I mean, there is, and I'm not trying to be facetious, there is an unbelievable feeling, and I just finished the game once again. I can't count how many times. And when I was playing it, like I just was like, this is it. This is what it feels like to step into Star Wars. So it's, you know, I was telling someone else, at a certain point when we got even just the hyperdrive working in the game and you could jump planets, I was just spamming between planets because like, this is what I've always wanted. So it truly is everything I could have hoped for and more.
Perfect. Thank you so much for your time.
Pleasure. Thank you very much.
Voilà, comme vous pouvez le voir, Navid Kharavi est vraiment très confiant pour Star Wars Outlaws. Maintenant, verdict dans les prochains jours, via notamment les premiers tests, dont le nôtre qui sortira très bientôt. Donc, n'hésitez pas à vous abonner à la chaîne si ce n'est pas encore fait, d'activer les notifications, de laisser un petit pouce bleu pour justement recevoir tout notre contenu. Donc voilà, on verra ce que ça va donner. Déjà, on aura les premiers tests. On aura ensuite avec l'Early Access les premiers retours des joueurs avant d'avoir un retour général de tous les joueurs à partir du 30 août qui est donc la date de sortie officielle du jeu. Voilà, c'était tout pour cette vidéo, j'espère qu'elle vous aura plu. N'oubliez pas encore une fois, si ce n'est pas encore fait, de vous abonner, de liker notre contenu, s'il vous plaît, bien évidemment. Quant à moi, je vous dis à une prochaine vidéo. Salut, ciao ciao.
You want to live? Get in with the underworld's most dangerous syndicates. And pull off the greatest heist the Outer Rim has ever seen.
I'm in.